Practicing every day doesn't necessarily guarantee that you're going to get better because the quantity in which you practice does not automatically equal quality practice time. I know, it's a phrase we hear all of the time, quality over quantity. So what does it really mean? Well, in the context of playing a musical instrument, or maybe even a sport, it means that just because you practice a lot, it doesn't guarantee that the time you're spending is actually benefiting you. In fact, you could be actually doing more harm than good. And I know some people will say, but does it really hurt to practice more than you need to? After all, wouldn't you rather be over prepared for something than under prepared? And yes, I would completely agree with all of that, being somebody who'd rather be over prepared. But it's only useful if the time you're spending is productive. Because if your practice time is not productive or of quality, then honestly, there's no point in practicing at all. So how do we know if the time we're spending in the practice room is productive? Well, I'm glad you asked, because today I'll be getting into my 5 tips for making your practice sessions more productive, coming up. Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Zachary Savinsky, and if you're new here, make sure you subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you never miss a new video. Now, quantity isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can actually be a good thing, but only if that quantity is supported by quality. You see, I don't think this is an either or situation, because if you were to only practice once a week, even if it's productive, it wouldn't really get you anywhere. Instead, you're going to need multiple quality practice sessions in order to truly start seeing progress in your playing. But just like a lot of things, achieving quality takes a lot of planning, execution, and hard work. Because quality is never an accident. It is always the result of intelligent effort. So how do we intentionally and intelligently head towards quality? Well, let's get into that first tip, shall we? And the first step to using your time more productively, set practical goals for your practice time. If you go into a practice session without knowing what you want to accomplish, then you're just kind of going in there expecting to make lemonade with oranges. What? Forgive the analogy, but the bottom line is to set goals, whether they're monthly goals, weekly goals, or in this case, daily goals. But at the same time, having those monthly or weekly goals can be really important because they help navigate what you need to be working on in your daily practice. So let's say you're learning a new marimba solo and your overall goal is to have it learned by the end of the semester. Knowing the amount of time you have, you'd then create weekly goals to learn maybe a page, page and a half of the music. And then with that weekly goal in mind, you can then formulate on a more organized level what you need to be doing in your daily practice to learn that page of music. So for example, it could be, I'll learn this phrase today and then the next phrase tomorrow, so on and so forth. Or another example could be, I'll get the tempo on these 2 phrases up to a certain number by the end of 20 minutes. By doing this, you're giving yourself time to breathe and focus on what you're doing instead of trying to cram a week's worth of practice into one day. Now, I could go on and on about goal setting, so you can definitely count on a video all about this. But for right now, let's keep moving.
We keep it moving, we keep it moving.
For tip number 2, we have improve on at least one thing. This one is kind of an extension of goal setting in the same sense that whatever you improved on for that day could have been your goal for that day. And that you improving was learning more pages or phrases of that marimba solo. Man, I'm dropping rhymes on a dime right now. Let's go. But it doesn't even have to be that big of a thing. Because in reality, the whole tip is improve on at least one thing, no matter how little it seems. So that could mean bumping the tempo up just a couple clicks or fixing that one raw note you've been hitting every time. So long as you're making strides for improvement and are focused on doing that, you're definitely headed in the right direction. But it's also important to note that going into your practice, you might not even know what it is you're going to improve on. It could be something totally unexpected or something that you never thought you'd get right. Moving on to tip number 3, we have eliminate distractions. Seems simple enough, but boy, is it tough. Even while shooting this video, I keep getting distracted. Hey, must check social media. Distractions can come in many different shapes and sizes. And honestly, it all depends on what can easily suck your attention away. It could be something that's happening on social media. This random scammer who keeps trying to call you. Or it could be a different type of distraction, like thinking about that dinner you're about to have in 20 minutes because your stomach's growling. To solve these, you might put your phone in nighttime mode, or you could completely hide it from plain sight. By eliminating these distractions, it allows our brains to focus only on the task in front of us instead of trying to concentrate on 10 different things at once. This will ultimately lead to more fruitful practice and you'll get so much more accomplished. Oh, and if it's a distraction influenced by the time of day, like our dinner example, then maybe you need to pick a better time to practice. Which perfectly leads us into our fourth tip: practice when you have the time. And what I mean by that is this: pick times where you know you'll be most effective. Because for some people, I know I'm one of them, trying to practice on an empty stomach is not helpful at all. Or for others, it could be trying to squeeze a practice session in that small 20-minute window you have in between your classes. Whatever it is, this tip is very dependent on what works best for you, because only you know what's best for you in this situation. All right, it's time for the fifth and final tip for making your practice sessions more productive. But before we get into it, let me know down in the comments what your current or upcoming practice goals are. I love knowing what people are working on. Okay, now that we got that covered, it's time for tip number 5, which is be in the right mental mindset. Practicing is no use to you if you're not in the right mental space. And being in the right mindset is crucial if you want to make your sessions more productive. So say you had a rough day, or you just got really busy, or you're just feeling really stressed at the moment. Chances are that if you tried to practice right now with any of those things in your head, you're not going to be very productive, especially if you're stressed or mentally drained, because sometimes your body will get super tense, or you don't breathe well, or your technique starts to lack because of it. These could all result in distractions that take you out of your practice time and won't allow you to focus on the goals you have set out for yourself. See how all the tips start to tie back into each other?
Wow. Wow. Wow, bro.
Also, I want to make this next part super clear for you. It's okay to take days off. Don't feel like you have to practice every day. The practice room will be there when you get back. It's not going anywhere. Just wait till you're in a better headspace in order to have a more quality and productive session. Because similar to the last tip, this one is really dependent on knowing your own limits and knowing how much you can handle. But for me at least, being in the right mental mindset is having a clear enough head and the ability to focus on the tasks I have in front of me. Being able to go into that room undistracted and play to the best of my abilities. Because ultimately, that's all you can ask for. So there you have it. My 5 tips for making your practice sessions more productive. As always, I hope you guys found value in this video and got something out of these tips. And if you have any questions about them, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. But hey, if you want to see more content like this, make sure you subscribe and hit that like button. It really helps me out. Until next time though, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great week and I'll see you in the next video.